evening, everyone. Welcome to the stream. Housekeeping duties. First off the bat, can you see me? Can you hear me? Leave a comment in the comment section to let me know whether you can see me or hear me. It's just over here. It's over here. And let's see. Jet's here. Jet says he almost missed it. Was watching the Star Car model stream, then switched to agenda-free fire coverage, then came upon this. Well, welcome to the stream. It's just started, so you didn't almost missed it. And Ken says, hey, Andrew, I can see you and hear you. Perfect. So if you're here tonight, let me know that you're here. I'd like to know who I'm talking to. So again, leave me a comment just right over here so I know exactly who I'm talking to. That way it shows up there, and I know you're here. I know you're engaged, and I know that you're talking to me. So tonight we are going to work on some Pylon supports. I've been chewing away at that, literally. I've been chewing away well, not with my teeth, but chewing away with the Dremel, a lot of the resin in the Pylon area so that we could get this inside. So that, well, it's not going to be this long, right? It's not going to be quite that long, but we're going to get this inside the Pylon. We're not going to get it secured tonight, but we're going to continue to work on getting it aligned in there. I don't want those pylons sagging. And just for reference, this is the 650 scale Enterprise D that we're talking about, getting some metal support into those pylons so that they do not droop over time. So also, we've got this lovely lady in behind here that we're also going to be hopefully doing some work on, getting some more masking done so that I get some more paint down on the hull. So lots of stuff going on. And of course, all the different chats and stuff like that that's going to be happening during the course of the evening. So thank you for coming along. We've got Skull here in the chat saying, hi, Andrew. Hello, Skull. Welcome to the stream. We've got William Nelson in the stream tonight. Let's see. Jet says, I'm not engaged. Got married 6 years ago. Ha, 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 ha. And Droop Sag, I'll be in my bunk. Okay, sure. Yeah, we don't want any sag happening in the nacelles, in the pylons for the Enterprise D. And here's the thing. This print resin, we do not have, at this point in time, a baseline for the longevity of the structure of the printed material. So, with that in mind, we want to make sure that everything is done to the best of our ability to make sure that nothing deforms, droops, or sags on the model over the course of time. That's why we've got the metal armature going through the whole thing. That's why we've got the big metal disc in the saucer section that's going to hold all of that together so the saucer doesn't droop over time. And that's why we are sticking this piece into those pylons, because we just don't know how long they are going to last for. And Jet says, did you have to shovel? Did you shovel the sidewalks today, Andrew? No, we just got a little dusting of snow, nothing major, nothing too much to worry about. We've actually had, although it's been cold, and it's the cold part of the winter that I dislike the most. Although it's been cold, we've had very little snow compared to usual. 2 years ago, Christmas Eve, we literally got snowed in for several hours because we got probably 3 feet of snow. And so it took a chunk of time to dig out from that. Actually, I've been trying to find pictures of the snow on top of our cars and how the cars got pretty much almost just buried. So we'll get like a really good dumping of snow every so often like that. But we haven't gotten anything major like that since Christmas Eve 2 years ago. But that snowed us in for a couple hours before we were able to get dug out. And you get dug out, and then the plow plows you, snows you back in for a little while. So, and I do not have, well, I have a snowblower, but the snowblower does not work. Plus, having transformed my garage into a shop, I don't have anywhere to put it. So it's shoveling. It's shoveling the 6 to 24 inches of snow that we could get. So who knows? Devin is here. Hello. Excited to watch while I wait for my E to dry. Just finished filling the windows and protected them with a gloss coat. Very good. What did you use to fill your windows on it? There's always several different options. Microcrystal clear. There's always canopy glue. Lots of different things. With the Enterprise E at the 1400 scale, you really do want to fill those after everything's done. Filling them beforehand and masking would be quite an arduous journey. And I've tried to work with masks on the 1400E for Windows before, but I've just find that there isn't enough adhesive when you get those pieces so small for them to actually stick down for very long. So yeah, it's drill and fill, I say. So cut out the windows and fill them in afterwards. That's my approach. Let's see here. Okay. Who else is here? Devin says, crystal clear. Have to wait for a firmware update for the inner light system before I can see how well it worked. Very cool. Yeah, cool. Todd is here. Welcome, Todd. Welcome to the stream. Oh, and I don't have my TNG Earl Grey teacups here yet. They are on order. Thanks to Super Chat from Ken last week. But, and look, there's Ken now. But, so they're not here yet, but I do have my Spockified Science Officer teacup here with my tea, Earl Grey, hot in it for the evening. And I've got a whole pot of tea here ready to go, so I'm good for the next 2 hours or so. All right. Let me show you. That didn't look very good. When I said let, my tongue got stuck out there. I'll try not to do that again. That handle is genius. The Spockified handle on there. Yeah, pretty cool. So let me show you where I am with these pylons. So obviously I'm just doing one of the E's. One of the D's as far as the pylons to start with. But let me show you how that's coming along so far. Let me grab my screen and let me switch over here. Let me throw my face up in the corner right up here. There we go. And have a look to see how this is going. So pretty much all of the area that I need to clear out as far as the resin has been cleared out. There's one little spot I went just a touch too far on, and it's right here. So when I touch too far, I will touch that up with some putty on the reverse side when that's all done. But I think I've taken out pretty much as I can on this. I've got this marked aft, starboard, and port, so I know exactly what way it is supposed to go in. So I've got two of these here. I've got let me just show you. I have the steel and I have the aluminum. I'm pretty sure I'm going to go with the steel. Now the steel will need to be sealed, and I've got some paint, special paint to do that. So this will be sealed before it is embedded into the ship. Don't worry. But this is a little bit thinner than the aluminum and a little bit stronger than the aluminum. A little bit more weight, but the little bit of extra weight in the back end of this thing won't hurt because the saucer is going to be nice and heavy. So a little bit of extra weight in the back end will actually help level things out a little bit. But this is where it's going to go. And like I said, I've got this trenched out pretty much as I can. So as much resin as that can be removed has been removed. And there's just a couple spots that are still just a wee bit proud. So if I take my straight edge here and just check the various areas, like this is fine. It's a little bit proud over here. So I need to deal with this edge right here. So I've got some grinding wheels for my Dremel. So obviously at a Dremel scale, they're not quite as hefty as, you know, if you got like the big grinder to grind that out. Oh, Ian is here. Welcome, Ian, to the stream. How are you doing tonight? Hopefully you're doing better. Hopefully your power is a little bit more stable tonight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take. Now I'm not going to do this on camera. You don't really want to see the sparks flying. I don't want the sparks flying near my computer and streaming stuff and all that type of thing. But I'm going to probably just grind down any of the edges and corners that are just sitting a little bit proud to the surface, because this needs to either sit flush with or slightly under the surface. Now, I do have the advantage that there are the little cover pieces that go over here. So those will cover a multitude of sins when it comes to getting this to look flush again afterwards. So we've got that to our advantage. But yeah, so I've already taken out as much as I think I can from here. That's really interesting. So I've posted about doing this on Facebook. I've had a lot of comments about doing this, and I've had a ton of people giving me all kinds of different suggestions. I had somebody comment on, after watching my live stream playback from last week, that I shouldn't be trenching this out, that I should actually just cut out the whole section and insert this in here. Yeah, I think that I understand where they're coming from. I think that would have just been a world of issues as far as getting these attached, level, and everything straight again. I want to keep the bottom skin on there, and enough thickness on the bottom skin that helps keep everything attached, aligned, and exactly where it needs to be. I'm not sure if it was the same person, but somebody did remind me that I need to seal this because it is the steel. It is going to be likely either very, very close to, or it is going to be the upper surface, unless I cover the whole area here in vinyl. That's possible, because the vinyl will look fine once it's been primed and everything like that. And that would just give me such a nice clean covering there. So that is an option. Let me know. Actually, you know what? Because I haven't actually covered such a large area with vinyl and then painted. So if anybody has any experience doing that, let me know, yay or nay on that. It's not my preference, but it would give me a nice uniform top coat. Because no matter how well you get this inlaid and ground down and filled in and all that kind of stuff, the more you can do to hide it by covering it, the better it's going to be. Let's see. Where am I here? Lots of people saying hello to people. All right, Ian says power is on, all is well. Thanks, Andrew. Some places down there in the United States, you know, I'm surprised at how fragile the infrastructure as far as power seems to be. Because I think of Texas that gets any bad weather and they lose power. I think, Ian, you're in Atlanta, right? Area. But I'm always amazed because we get the freezing rain, we get the snow, we get the wind, we get everything, and we rarely lose the power. People saying hi. Oh, Ian says I got to get some salt tomorrow for the driveway. It's that bad, is it? Did you guys get freezing rain or something? And Ken says drive safe. Accidentally hit the scroll wheel and it started going all over the place. Ian says the steel is a good idea. Might want to put some red oxide or zinc primer on the steel. I will double check that out because I'll see what the stuff I have has on it. But I'm going to write that down. Red oxide or zinc primer. Okay, I've got it written down. I will check that out. Yeah, we don't want rust getting through the ship. I've also got to, I am going to be, one of the things I'm going to do today is I'm going to be masking off the inside of the bottom secondary hull for this, because I need to get paint down on the arm that's in there, the support arm for the ship, because I want to get all that sealed in. And I might do some grinding work on the far from professional welding job that's on there too. So we'll see. Ian also says to Ken, the roads are dry. Devin says, does vinyl like to shrink and expand with temperature? I'd be concerned with the cold material, possibly. I'm not sure. Ken has a better idea. You could try paper thin styrene sheets, Andrew. Yeah, I've got some really nice thin stuff, and if I don't have enough at the right size, I can always get some more. Like I've got 0.5 millimeter, I think might be the smallest I have, but a thin sheet of styrene might be the way to go. That's what I've got to do that on the Don Shoko D, because the back end of the Don Shoko D is an absolute mess. And to get it cleaned up and look right, because nothing aligns properly on it, the way it joins and stuff like that. So I am planning on putting a piece of styrene down on that. So that's a good shout. So Ken, yeah, that's a good shout. I will look into getting the thinnest sheet of styrene I can, and I'm probably gonna have to, actually I might have to special order it, because I'm gonna need ideally one piece that will go down all the way around this whole area here. So if I take this out, it doesn't need to go in here. Now, something I do have to do is on the upper secondary hull section, I need to remove a little bit of the edge so that it sits over top of where the metal piece is going to be. But I'm not going to do that until I've got this embedded in permanently into this into the kit, because I want to make sure that I've got all of the alignments in properly. So because let me just grab, I guess, a pencil here so that I can show you what I'm talking about. And I may need to zoom in a little bit here. So give me one moment bear with me. There are no bears with me, but bear with me while I zoom this in, take you on a little bit of a nausea ride. That should be a little bit easier to see now. So if I grab the upper secondary hull part here, and I will turn this way. So this sits down into the recessed area here, but the metal is in the way. So I'm going to have to remove actually, it ain't bad. I may not actually have to remove anything. I may have gotten that recessed down in there far enough that I'm not going to have to remove any of the plastic here, which would be a very good thing. I might just have to sand it down a little bit, but the edges are actually already quite thin. So I might just need to sand it down a little bit to get that in there, but that's actually not going to be as bad or difficult as I was expecting it to be. But this gives you a bit of an idea of how this is going to work. So the armature piece has a strip of steel that comes all the way back and it's going to meet up with this piece here. So it's going to butt up right up against here. So now I don't need to solder this piece. Actually, let me grab that for you. I'm going to back this up a little bit. No, that's the wrong direction. Ugh. Let me grab all this stuff so you can see. So you can see how this is all going to work. And Devin says he likes the styrene idea. Yeah, that's definitely a good shout. Ian says lots of 100-foot tall or taller pine trees here with above ground utilities. Above ground utilities are anytime you've got above ground wires, it's not a good thing. For probably for the last 35 years or so, any new builds around here, probably even older than that, but any neighborhoods have been built with all the utilities underground, because we do get ice storms. We get freezing rain. It brings down trees, and that can take out. So okay, so if all of your utilities are above ground, that makes, and you've had freezing rain, that makes sense. Galvanic corrosion can occur when brass and steel are in electrical contact in the presence of an electrolyte such as water or moisture. Yeah. Thank you for the technical explanation. I mean, I'm not a doctor. I don't understand those things, but I get the gist of what you're saying. Ken says for some reason, after the rust comment, I was picturing someone in the bathtub with the D. Please don't take it into the bathtub. Ian says, same in the US with new builds. Okay, good. Underground utilities is the best way. My neighborhood was built in the 1950s. Okay, well, that makes sense. That makes sense. All right, so just so you get an idea of what's going on here, the back end fits on like so. Here, let me get my face out of the way because my face is covering. There you go. I'll move this way a little bit. So, yeah, the back end goes on here, pretty much like that. And I deliberately had this piece of steel running all the way back so then it would connect with whatever we decided to put into the pylons, and that's pretty much exactly aligned the way it needs to be. Now, I had thought about putting a physical, and I might still do it. Here, you need to see my face for the expressions. I might still do it. There, that's what I did. Just that was an instant replay for you since you missed it. I might still do it. I might put a plate between these two pieces and use physical fasteners to secure them together. I don't think that's going to be necessary because this piece is going to be epoxied down like mad to the pylons here. There'll be the epoxy joint back here where these two pieces go, and that'll be really well secured. And then obviously the pylon support is going to be really well secured down into it. And then to top that all off, when the upper secondary hull part goes on, like so, that's also going to be really well secured in place. So I don't feel the need to mechanically attach the pylon support to the armature support. I may or may not, but yeah, that might be what, like, I might do it, I might not. I'm not going to do anything involving heat, so I'm not going to weld it or anything like that because I think that being right on top of the pylon piece, it's going to be too much heat for the resin, because I would have to do this with this attached. So I'm not going to spot welder or anything like that. So I think in the way that it's designed, that should be more than strong enough. And I mean, do we absolutely need the steel in the back? I don't know. And that's the problem. I don't know if we need the steel or not. Like, I don't know if we need metal in the pylons. I'm just not taking the risk of these pylons and nacelles sagging or breaking or anything like that over time. I want to make sure that they are as secure as I can possibly make them. So anyway, so that's where we're at. So to make a long story short, I need to go through and just grind down any of the proud areas on this metal piece here, which is mostly in the curved areas. So there are some areas it'll get clamped down and really well secured into the part, but there's some areas that are just sitting a little bit proud on the edges. I'll grind those down just so that everything sits flush with the hull part here. I wish that they had designed the back of the D differently so that it wasn't so thin back there, because that would have made life, like, even if it was like twice as thick back there on the ship, I think it would have just served us as model builders so much better on building any version of this model. Because like with the 1400 scale Enterprise D, just to get wiring through, you have to trench it out. Because if it was twice as thick, you could make it into two parts, and then you could run your wires in. As thin as this is, there's not really a great way to make that in two parts where you can get your wires through. Even with the Enterprise E, the 1400 Enterprise E, in order to get wires through, the pylons are two pieces on that. But because they're so thin, you have to trench out and dig out inside those pylons so that you have the space for your wires. So Devin says some silver solder back there wouldn't hurt. Really strong stuff I've found. Yeah. Do you guys like those mini donut covered with that fine white icing sugar? If you're asking me, I'm not a fan, but that's not to say other people aren't. Ian says it should be strong enough. Okay, Krispy Kreme donuts. Let's see. And Devin says, darn ship designers and producers not catering to us modelers. Yeah, well, I mean, the Enterprise J or whatever it is from Discovery and the Discovery refit, like, how are you supposed to make nacelles that are not attached, that are just floating there without using acrylic rod, and then you can't run wires? It's, yeah. Make them buildable, please. Jet says, yes, they are. Just wondering if you like the E mini donuts dusted with icing sugar. Todd says, do they still give you a KK donut right out of the machine? I'm assuming that's Krispy Kreme. No clue. I don't know a whole lot about donuts other than Tim Hortons sells donuts. I absolutely hated when you would get donuts from Tim Hortons back in the 80s because they didn't yet have like the no smoking laws in restaurants. And so you'd get like a donut or a muffin and they would just be caked with cigarette smoke and would taste awful. So I'm glad that we've got rules in place about that kind of thing now. RAF Warp Drive, welcome to the stream. He says not a fan. I'm assuming you're talking about the mini sugar donuts. Let's see. As towards Devin's statement, you know how like some model material is like in a long skinny bottle that gets easily tipped over. Maybe they do that so we have to buy more when we spill it. Okay. Apparently Todd has been craving a donut all day. What kind of donut do you want? How did you all read my mind? Put Tipsy bottle inside a roll of tape that fits, works great and readily available. Yeah. I do that just with an open bottle, whether it's Tipsy or not. That's all good. All right. yeah, I'm going to grab some tape. I'm going to start taping this off. I need some scissors. Let me put this piece away. And by the way, I just mean over on the other desk. Oh, I should mention, when I was dealing with this with my Dremel, came up with an idea. I electrical taped the nozzle of my shop vac on the side of the Dremel. So as I was going, it was sucking up all the dust and really prevented resin dust from getting into the air, which is really really important. I mean, I was wearing my respirator and everything, but really kept the mess and the airborne particles down to an absolute minimum. So if you're clearing out resin and want to keep that mess under control, that's one way to do it. I just taped the knot. Actually, this is not the bit I was using on it. I was just using this to finish off some areas. I had a I don't see it around here, but I did have a what's it called? I'm forgetting, but it's the my brain is not working. Anyway, the proper bit for hogging this stuff all out, I had it on here, and I just had my shop vac nozzle taped to it, and really kept everything under control. So one way to keep the nasty dust under control. Devin says, I somehow spill those Square Tamiya bottles. You would think they'd be stable. You'd think they would be stable. I just mean, like, are they nefariously trying to get us to buy more stuff? Hi, Andrew in the chat. Welcome to this stream. Welcome. There we go. Caught up on the chat. And let's see if I can cheat this little bit of masking here. And just put it sunny side up here. If I can get this in here a little bit. And Buck's here. Welcome, Buck. I put your chat up on the screen, but my hands are occupied at the moment. All right. See if I can get another piece in there. Yeah, this might not work as well as I'd hoped. That's okay. I'll put it sticky side down. I want to keep everything on the inside clear of the metal primer. Let's see. So Buck's here. Everybody's saying hi to Buck. Jet says, worked all day on my mini art Junker F13. I almost got to the point of putting primer on it tomorrow. Very nice. Buck says, about to start step 3 of the Eiffel Tower. So far, this thing is no joke. Okay. And Jet says, I'll start editing while watching your amazing stream, Andrew. I'm rolling on the floor laughing. All right. I'm not sure why you're laughing on the floor, but you do you. Okay. There we go. Need a little bit there and a little bit in here. A little bit more than a little bit, I guess. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut this into smaller pieces because I don't think it likes that curve. Oh, that did not go in far enough. Just trying to do it a little bit blind there, I guess. Okay, apparently Todd understands what Jet's doing. Watching your favorite YouTuber and looking. Okay, got it. Devin says, "Are you going to be able to cover the underside of that metal there, or have you already sealed it?" I didn't do the underside, but it's not in contact. Apart from directly back here, it's not in contact with the hull, so it should be okay on that part back there. I'll also give it a couple extra coats of primer back there. Earl Grey hot. I would totally trust him to fly when he's piloting. 2 sugar. Well, and I take my tea, Earl Grey hot, just black, nothing in it. It's right here. Need a refill. There we go. Jet says, you got to start wearing your Star Trek uniform when you do these live streams. It would be a big hit. I have my jacket that I wear in my videos that is coincidentally somewhat Star Trek uniform-esque. But I don't like to actually do work in it because I don't want to get it messy with all the work mess in here. So I just wear it for intro and outro videos. All right. I've got to reattach this side here. I've already reattached this side. It went really well. It's nice and flat down in there. That's something that Phil, I think, mentioned having trouble with, getting that to lay down flat. And I'm not sure if he ever did go back to redo it. It does not, the metal plate does not want to naturally sit flat with the resin part. So you really have to do a lot of work to get that to sit right. It doesn't just naturally happen, we'll say. There's practically nothing on this build that just naturally works for you. You have to work for everything on it. Let's see. Jess says, we'll have to make up a collection to get you a nice bespoke one made for you. And Ken says, Andrew, how has the limiting of coffee been going? Okay, so I started limiting my coffee intake because I was having an awful lot of kind of like acid reflux stuff going on. and it was getting really bad. And so when I started my weight loss journey, which I'm still on, the only issue right now is that I'm on a bit of a plateau, and I've made it over halfway to my goal, my weight loss goal, but I seem to be a little bit stuck at the halfway point. So it's just, I knew the second half would take longer than the first half. So that was a known, but I've been stuck a little bit longer than I might have liked. That's for sure. But what I noticed was when I cut out the carbs, my acid reflux mostly went away, except for when I was drinking coffee or tea. So the caffeine was, or something with the coffee or tea was exacerbating my my stomach issues, along with the carbs. So I cut coffee, tea, and all of that out completely for a month and a half, I think it was. And so I thought I'd try reintroducing it and just see how my stomach handled it. And I've reintroduced tea and coffee because I enjoy drinking tea and coffee. It's my thing, especially when I'm sitting down to do work. So like when I'm at work at my desk and doing a lot of computer stuff, or even if I'm traveling around the building getting stuff done, I like having a hot coffee. And yeah, when I reintroduced it, not a problem. And it doesn't seem to matter how much coffee I have. Ever since I took that break, well, since I eliminated took a break from the carbs, now I have reintroduced some carbs periodically, mostly rice in the form of sushi periodically. But since I cut the carbs, and I'm going to bet any money it's the wheat, because I still have not had, well, that's not true. I've had the very little bit of exposure to wheat products, the smallest little bit. I'm going to guess that it's primarily the wheat that was giving me the trouble. And by cutting that out specifically, that's probably really helped. Let's see. Yeah, most of the first is water weight. Sure. I mean, I'm not a doctor. I don't understand. I don't know those things, but you could very well be true. Could very well be true. I don't know. I'm certainly not going to say definitively one way or the other. I mean, almost 30 pounds is a lot of water weight to lose. I'm going to say that almost 30 pounds is much more than water weight. And actually, if you go, let me see. I'm just going to check here on my channel. I think it's my last video because I've been in the middle of messy off-camera work. But let me check. Yes. Yeah, so my last video that I have, and it's an Enterprise E video. So in the last video, I recorded my intro really early on. And I recorded the intro before I started the weight loss journey. Because I had recorded an intro, but I was mostly getting Enterprise D videos out. So I recorded the intro at the beginning of, like, before my weight loss journey, and then the outro was more recent. So if you look at the intro and then skip immediately to the outro, you can see in my face the difference in the weight. It's quite quite crazy to look at that and see the difference there. Ken says, I know you can do it, Andrew. Well, thank you. Jet is saying to Buck, will your Eiffel Tower going to serve freedom fries or French fries? Ian said I had to switch to decaf tea. I already gave up coffee. And Ken's asking if it helps. It's interesting. So there was a Harvard study done a number of years ago, and about caffeine and the effects of caffeine. And don't quote me because it's been a long time since I've heard this, but if memory serves me, I think they determined that there was about 11% of the population where caffeine does not have the standard effects on people, where it won't give you a pick-me-up, it won't keep you awake, and I fall in whatever percentage that of the population that is. I fall in there. I started drinking coffee when I was in school, and I was a bit of a procrastinator in school when it came to papers and stuff. And much of my best work was done the night before it was due. And so I started grabbing coffee thinking it was going to help me stay awake. And nope, not a chance. One of the things that apparently coffee is bad for is giving you withdrawal symptoms if you don't get it. However, I don't have that problem. So I did a month and a half, not a drop of coffee, caffeine, or anything like that. And I didn't have any trouble with it. The hardest part when I go on a caffeine fast is never not having the caffeine. It's just not having a hot beverage with substance. Because, I mean, tea Earl Grey hot is great, but it doesn't have the substance to it that coffee does. Coffee, to quote a captain, coffee is the greatest organic suspension ever devised. And 5 points to anybody who knows which captain said that. Coffee is the greatest organic suspension ever devised. Who said that? I thought I was going to have to give up coffee altogether when I first got my kidney diagnosis, because blood pressure is a huge factor in making sure that the filters in your kidneys don't expand and the tissues aren't inflamed. But they seem to tell me that it doesn't matter whether I have the coffee or not. So, but it does affect the blood pressure. So I do need to be a little bit careful how much I have with maintaining the blood pressure. Let's see. So the last comment I had was Ken saying, does it help? And Ian is saying, yeah, just cut out all caffeine like two weeks ago. So Ian, cutting out caffeine, you know that means that you can't have chocolate, right? Chocolate has caffeine, so no Aero bars, no caramel, no Terry's orange, chocolate oranges, nothing like that, right? That's got caffeine in it. And by the way, not to put a dampener on it, but decaf is not no calf. It's just less calf. So just so that you're aware there. I went to Rise Mushroom Coffee. Oh, I've heard like mud water type of stuff. Is that what it is? I've seen some stuff like that. That's kind of like a substitute. Buck is saying to Jet, neither. It will serve pommes frites. Okay. Decaf tea still has small traces of caffeine, but like milligrams versus 20 to 20 milligrams. That's a very narrow range there, 20 to 20 milligrams. Very, very narrow range. Jets, just, I guess, giving a laughing emoji to Buck. Blair is here. And just saying hi to everybody. Hi, Blair. We were just, I was just showing off the progress on the armature. I will backtrack there for you, so you get to see. But Janeway, yes, Janeway is the captain. That said, that coffee is the greatest organic suspension ever devised. She's also the one that says there's coffee in that nebula. Janeway, Captain Kangaroo, nope. Captain Annika Hansen, nope. Let's see. Ian says, my wife can drink a coffee and fall asleep 10 minutes later. I'm the same way. I can have a pot of coffee in the evening and have no problems falling asleep. Coffee will not keep me awake. It will get me awake because I'll have to get up and use the washroom, but it won't keep me awake. Let's see. She's only pretending to sleepy, and she just doesn't want to talk to you. Maybe. People saying hi to Blair. William says mud water is like chai tea and rise is more like coffee. Okay, good to know. All right. And just other people saying hello and random words and question marks. So I'm just going to put a star there so that I know where I left off. All right, so Blair is here. Let me give you the quick update. I've just been masking off the inside of the secondary hull because I want to give the metal in here a coat of primer. Keep it all nice and clean. Let me stick this to the side. So this one is not yours. It's the other one, but the exact same things happen to yours, Blair. So I have completely dug out this trench, which was a lot of, it took a good chunk of time. Took a chunk of time and just really delicate work. I did accidentally puncture the outside of this one, but it's only a minor puncture, and that'll get filled, puttied, no problem at all. And now I've got all that other stuff off of the desk. Let me zoom back in here so that we can see what's going on a little bit better. There we go. All right, so this has been trenched out. I've moved away from the aluminum, and I was actually able to get the steel strip to form on the wood buck I have. Todd, that's for you. I just made sure that I used that term, especially since Buck is here. So I wasn't sure whether I'd be able to form the steel around. Here's the piece of wood that I used. Let me get it out of all the stuff up there. So here's the piece of wood that I used. I'm pretty sure that it's a nice piece of maple. And I wasn't sure I would be able to get the steel strip shaped around properly, but I did manage to do it. It's getting pretty close to being perfect for this particular piece. It's pretty much flush to the surface of the pylons, and there are some areas, and it'll be the same on yours when I go to do yours. There are some areas that are sticking up just a little bit proud, and so I'm going to grind specifically the front section here on the curve. So I'm going to grind that down enough to get it below the surface, and then this will be all puttied in and stuff like that. And then to finish it off, I will probably put a thin piece of styrene over the top so that it's all perfectly sealed, because one of the difficult things, although the blowaway covers go on this section, they don't cover this entire section perfectly. So if I put a thin piece of styrene over the top of this all the way up. It's just going to clean everything up, and it will be absolutely perfect and pristine. And I was showing this off with the rest of the armature, and essentially the piece of steel strip that comes out the back of the armature butts right up to this, and it'll all get really epoxied in place. It'll be secured in very well. And these pylons are not going to go anywhere over time, so they should be nice and secure. Let's see. Ian says French press coffee is the worst for you. I actually mostly drink French press coffee right now, but what I like to do with my French press coffee is make it and put it in the press, but then I like to run it through a coffee filter, like a drip coffee filter that you put in the basket. So I don't keep drip coffee. I don't keep drip coffee makers around anymore because they die too quickly, and the good ones are too expensive to kill them with hard water, etc. So what I like to do is I keep the carafe and the basket, and so I'll put that on the counter, and I'll put the filter in it, and I'll pour the French press coffee through that, because you do get all the particles and stuff like that through a French press, and it's nice to get rid of all that. Ian says, I eat chocolate sparingly and only during the day. Okay. Tell me with a straight face you ate chocolate sparingly when Ken's goodie box arrived at your door. Tell me you ate that sparingly. Because if you tell me you ate that sparingly, I'm going to say I don't believe you. I think the temptation there would have been a little bit too much. Buck says minor puncture. Is that like a minor warp core breach? Just a little puncture in the ODN conduit. 20 to 30 milligrams. Got it. Blair says lots of work. Looks great. Thank you. Again, I don't want these pylons to go anywhere over time. Too much time and effort goes into these things to see them sag over time. And so I am doing everything in my ability to make sure that the kits, these Enterprise Ds, last this test of time. I'm really looking forward to seeing the metal print for the pylons on the 350 Excelsior. So for the 350 Excelsior from Helios, the lower half of the pylons is a metal printed part. So that should give a lot of rigidity and support to the nacelles. Now, I also think that we're going to have to put metal strip inside the nacelles and attach those directly to the metal support in the pylons, because I think that with the length and how narrow they are, there's a risk that those nacelles might droop over time. I have no concerns about the Enterprise D ones doing that because they're much beefier. They're not as long and they're beefier. But the Excelsior Enterprise B ones are long and spindly. And I could see having issues with those over time. So I'll probably put some metal strip inside those when I do that. Captain Archer? Nope. And Buck says, I miss Ken's trivia nights. Yeah, we haven't had a trivia night on the HTM stream for quite a while. What was Captain and Tennell's first hits? I have no idea. Truck Mods is here. Excelsior! Welcome to the stream. All right. You've been in Excelsior world with yours. It looks like you're almost done. You're almost done minus the decal issue? Are the decals the only thing you've got left to do on that? Just need a little bit more tea. Earl Grey. Hot. Trek Mod says, hi, everyone. And Done. Oh, so you're all done? Did you find a solution for your decals then? So Andrew was the Captain Cisco? No, it was Janeway. It was Janeway. Janeway is the captain who drank the most coffee, right? So pics on Discord. Now I've seen pictures on Discord, but I didn't notice if they had the decals or not. And I can't tell. Because they're done in low light, I can't tell if there's decals on them or not. So these are the pictures that that TrekMods has on Discord of his Excelsior refit. So there's this one and there's this one here. But because of the way the lighting is, I can't tell if you've got decals on there or not. So let me know if you've got the decals on there. Let me get this out of the way. Let me get Discord off of my screen. Let's see. Jet says, note, Buck, love will keep us together, or love will keep us together. TrekMod says no. So I'm assuming no means no decals. Ian says, I ate a lot of chocolate that one night and had horrible nightmares. Oh no. That's TrekMod says most of the decals were unusable. Jet says, in Star Trek Next Generation, what is the name of the Klingon homeworld's sacred monastery where Kayla supposedly returned? Oh, I know that. I wanted to say Burrell, but that's the class of ship. My brain can't think tonight. Buck says to Jet, I see that Googled after answering. The answer was from the hip. And Jet says, good try, Buck. TikTok. Oh, Buck says Stovacor, but Stovacor is not Star. Stovacor is their afterlife. Borath, yeah. Okay, got it. That's I was close with Burrell, but Burrell is the class of ship. Borath is the place. All right, what am I doing? What am I even doing? Do I even model? What's the name of the card game played by the officers in Star Trek The Next Generation? Poker, right? They played poker. Didn't they play poker? All right. So I think we're done with this. We're done with this for tonight. Let me zoom out a little bit. Put face cam back on. Throw this over here. Let's pull this one over. And I haven't had a chance to get any more work done on this since last week's stream. So let's pick up exactly where we left off, which means I just need a moment to look at this and remember we were working on the masking off these panels so that we could get the gray color down so that we could hopefully make use of the mask design masks for this. So that's what we are going to do. So I'm going to move this over a little bit. Make some space beside it here on the desk. And we're going to pull this handy dandy mat of stuff over. I'm going to keep track of the chat as best I can and get a little bit of tape down on the ship. I can probably zoom this in just a wee bit more here. Oh, we got some more questions. What was the title of the Vulcan philosophy advocating total logic and emotional suppression? Kolinar? No, that's the right of Kolinar. Give people a chance to answer at Jet Scale Models. Devin says these decals are about the only thing being nice to me. Both the kit decals and G-cals are laying down so nicely. What decals are those, Devin? Give me one moment. I just want to see something on in my stash. I was actually just looking to see how many Excelsiors I had in stock, and I only have one, and it's sealed. If I had more than one, and I had one that was open, I could spot you a set of decals, but I only have the one, and it's sealed, and I'm keeping those sealed until I need to use them. Oh, the answer was Kolinar. In Star Trek Deep Space Nine, what is the name of the Jem'Hadar drug used to control their loyalty to the Founders? That one I know. I'm not even going to say it because that one's an easy one. For the Enterprise E, the kit decals have the most accurate registries, and I like G-Cal's white lifeboats compared to the kit very tan ones. Okay, got it. Yeah. I haven't used the G-Cal's ones before. I do tend to stick to the kit decals for the markings on the Enterprise E. I should look to see what areas I'm needing to mask off here before I cut some tape. I need to... I should probably deal with... I need a pointer. Here it is. I should probably deal with masking. You can't see it there, but if I tip it like this, so it's the raised section here, and there's windows there. These raised sections are a pain to get masked off properly. So I'll have to do this with small pieces, the same way that I did this up here. So I might as well get that taken care of while we're chatting. Blair says, so have recently acquired a piece of the Enterprise quarter from the last movie set. I am working on recreating the other half so I can have a complete quarter section into my new Star Trek room. Very cool. Because are those the corridor pieces that you were showing me before? Where the D will be kept? Yeah. Ken says that sounds cool. Blair says, yeah, it's pretty slick way they made those set pieces. Full LED panels. And Ian's on his way out. Have a good night, Ian. And Blair says, yes, sir. The parts, and I'm assuming that means yes to the parts that you already showed me. All right. So I'm going to make use of some pieces I've got here on the cutting mat. Grab my little scissors. I destroyed the end of this piece of tape when I picked it up off of the cutting mat, so I will cut that back a little bit. And we'll start laying these down. Blair says, yeah, can't post pics, but you know the one. Yeah, I know. So I don't know how well you're going to be able to see me do this on here, but we'll try to keep my hands out of the line of the camera as much as possible. So we got to kind of like stick this down in here. The thin piece of masking we already have down in the trench is basically just the insurance to make sure that everything gets covered. The bulk of the masking is going to be done by these bigger pieces. And then masking off the airlock here is going to be its own little trick. Just says 8-issue miniseries has the crew of the Enterprise D teaming up with the 11th Doctor Who. Cool. By the way, since nobody's answered, the answer to the question is Ketracel White. Jet says, sorry, what 8-issue miniseries has the crew of the Enterprise D teaming up with the 11th Doctor Who? Oh, okay, so that's a question. Because I don't think you gave the answer to the other one, which was Ketracel White. Just scroll. No, if you left the answer, it's not there. But that's fine, because I know the answer. I don't know the answer to that question, though. I'm assuming it's a comic series. It's a comic book series. Or I think there might have been some book series that did that. Jet said, no, you said you knew it, so I didn't bother. And no one else chimed in. Got it. Okay, cool. I just wasn't going to respond because it'd be no fun if I just blurted it out. And Jet's given the answer there. You can read that yourself. I'll leave it there on the screen for a moment. There we go. Yeah, doing these masking those airlocks off are going to be fun. Jet says, what's the name of the actor who portrayed Q throughout most of the Star Trek series? With all the Star Trek trivia, where's Jordan tonight? There we go. Give me one moment here. I thought I had my phone here. Apparently, I don't. And so I received a text, and I am not replying to the text by tapping on my watch. So I'll just say to Blair, no, I don't. I might just need to look it up for you after stream. And that'll answer your question. All right. Let me get a fresh piece of tape for short sections. Just clearing off some random leftover pieces of tape from all the work I've been doing here on the cutting mat. Go. Just cutting a fresh strip of tape to get little bits from to do the rest of the masking in this section. Let's see. Todd got the answer, John Delancey. And Danny's here. Welcome, Danny. Welcome to the stream. Ken also got John Delancey. Todd says you have to let Jordan out of your pocket, Andrew. Jet says, what is the name of the race to which Q belongs? Trek Mods also got John Delancey. Buck says, portrayed, you mean he was really a Q? He wasn't really a Q? I'm devastated. Trek Mod says, when my daughter was young, she watched The Little Pony show, and Delancey played a character named Discord, who was basically Q in the form of mythical beast. Interesting. Who would have thought? Strange to see actors from Star Trek outside of the Star Trek realm. I suppose sometimes it's hard for those actors to get work outside of the Star Trek realm because of how well associated or typecast they are to their Star Trek roles. And Jet's asking if there's any guesses. Well, I don't think there is like a name of the race, but they are part of the Q continuum. They are the Q, part of the Q continuum. So that would be the best guess, I think. Dennis is here saying back from the pub. Great way to de-stress. Watch Starship modeling. Yeah. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for joining us. Did some work on the big Enterprise D tonight. Or at least looked at it anyway. Now I'm spending some time just getting some masking down on the Enterprise E. Let's see. Sorry, I was just checking text coming through on my watch. Ken got it. Q continuum. When was the Eiffel Tower completed? Danny says, do you think they love queuing? Hey, Tim. Tim says he was hoping for a trick answer. Ken says during the daytime. Jet says, come on, Ken, you can do better than that. Ooh, I moved a pinstripe. Just ever so slight when I put this piece of tape down. So just need to make sure that it goes exactly back where it was. Oh, that's about, okay, you can't see this from that perspective. Let me put it on its side here a little bit. I was about to put tape down here and wrap it over the top like I had before, but I'm not going to be able to do that here because I have to keep the top panel clear for paint to go down. So I'm going to have to be a little bit more careful how I mask off these next sections. And even that's going to be a little bit too thick of a piece of tape to put there. Let me see if I can adequately cover the hatch here. Well, that's going to be about as good as it can be done. More trivia in the chat. Feel free to participate in that. There's been a couple times tonight where, okay, so I've got 2 young kids, and so I am constantly exposed to a plethora of kids shows and movies and stuff, and there's a lot of music involved in kids shows and music, and so I have had going through my head one of the songs from the Blue's Clues movie going through my head all night, all day, like for the last week, literally. And there's been a few times where I've almost like started whistling it out or whatever, just tonight on live stream. It's crazy how the little stuff kind of just gets stuck in your head. Let's see. What's the weight of the Eiffel Tower? Whose apartment is at the top of the Eiffel Tower? Was just there. Eiffel is a death trap. Elevator, no thanks. 10 million pounds, Ken says. Approximately 10 10,100 metric tons. Devin says there are worse songs to get stuck in your head than songs from Blue's Clues movie. Yeah. But that's the danger of being a parent, right? Of young kids. At least I don't have two chugga big red car going through my head all the time anymore. We seem to be past the wiggle stage in our house. So I'm just trying to decide how wide I want this next piece of tape to be. Well, I'm just going to kind of cut a piece and go for it and see if it'll do the area I want to mask off. Let's see. Jet says, only next question, how much did Andrew weigh before going on his weight loss? A little bit more than that, Ken. Yeah. Todd says, hopefully not 10K metric tons. Yeah. Devin says, if your biggest hardship is kids' song, you're going good. Yeah. Tim says, terrible song to get stuck in your head. There's a fun rabbit hole. Yeah. Jet says, I don't actually know. 193, not quite. I was at, I did get up to 191, but I was at 189 when I started measuring for the weight loss. I'm currently down around the 164 mark. And I seem to have really plateaued anywhere between 164 and 162. And so hopefully I get out of this plateau period sometime soon. This might be a little bit too wide for what I want to do here. We'll see. Especially if it curves, but we'll see. Oh. No, I think that actually did what I wanted it to do. That's good. Press the important edge down before I cut it off so we don't get any paint leak there. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Those kids' songs can be pervasive, getting stuck in your head. Problem with me, though, too, the way my brain works is it's not just the idea of a song that gets stuck in my head. It's not just the melody of a song that gets stuck in my head. It's not just the lyrics of a song that gets stuck in my head. It's literally playing back the exact audio recording, all parts, all musical parts, all vocal part, everything. So if I've heard it, then it's literally playing back the track in my head. And little side note there, it generally also plays it back in the correct key. I don't have perfect pitch, but I've got really good relative pitch. And when music gets stored in my head, it generally gets stored in the key that it was in. Let's see. Where did I leave off here? Jet says, I guess Buck left the chat. That's why I was doing the Eiffel Tower questions. Danny says, do you guys know who was, according to ST Online, now part of canon, captain of the Enterprise F? Buck says, my shadow weighs 164 pounds. Nope, Buck's still here. Trekmod says, Andorian. Yeah, I seem to think it was an Andorian. I don't know the name of the person, though. Ken says he might have to skip the sushi for a couple weeks, maybe. Jet says, double question, what were the first and last episodes aired for Star Trek, the original series? So the first episode aired was not what was meant to be the first episode. The episode that was done first, that was first in number, I think, was Charlie X. But the first episode aired, I think, was Mantrap. But I could be wrong on that. And then the last one that was aired was the one, and I don't remember the name of it, but it's the one where Kirk and that lady change bodies. Derek says, looking good. You should have been a brain surgeon. Yeah, I don't think so. I'd be making people smell burnt toast. Danny says, yeah, the captain of the Enterprise F was Vakel Sean, and he was an Andorian. Ken says, better than a brain surgeon. Oh, better than a brain sturgeon. Yeah, I see that. Blair says, amen. To what? I'm not sure. Trekmod says, yeah, these thin lines are very tedious. He's a steady hand. It's Turnabout Intruder. Yeah, that's the name of it. Turnabout Intruder. And actually, Star Trek Continues, they did they refilmed the last scene of Turnabout Intruder to lead into their first episode of their 10 episodes of Star Trek Continues. So that was kind of cool how they did that. All right. The next little bit's going to be a wee bit tricky. Well, all of this is a wee bit tricky. It's a wee bit of masking. I'm going to need to cut a new piece for this, I think. Just to bring you in on my thought pattern here, I'm looking at doing this little crevice in here next. So we'll see how that goes. Jet says, what actress played a character in Star Trek before becoming famous as a horror icon in The Exorcist? I have no idea. No idea. Derek says, I got that early Parkinson's Parkinson's shake. No way I could hang with you elite modelers. Ken says, sorry to hear that, Derek. Yeah. That's got to make a lot of things really difficult. One of the reasons why there's people who will build models for you if you're not able to. Let's see. This is a wee bit tricky. So let me zoom in a little bit so that you can see just exactly what I'm dealing with here. Oh, I need to bring this closer to me, not further away. So I have an angle here that I'll have to put separate tape off. I've got a small section in here that needs to be taped off, and I've got the airlock here that needs to be taped off. And then the stretch in here, what the challenge is you just got a very short section before it goes up on the wall there. So I have to get it to go in. I have to get it to sit right up against the panel as necessary, but then I also need to get it to go all the way into the corner without pulling away from this panel. So that's the challenge on this section. Then I can only take it about to here because then it angles out again. I need to get a separate piece in order to do that angle. Unless I can just get really lucky here and somehow manage to just get this angle cut right. You basically just have to hold your breath and go for it. And then wait and see. And no, I didn't quite get that right. I'm going to have to put a piece on to get that angle in there. There we go. But that piece is laid down inside. And the leftover piece is not going to be large enough to do the other side. I'm going to zoom this back out just a little bit. I always go the wrong way when I'm zooming it back out. I don't know why. It should be intuitive enough, but for some reason I get it wrong each and every time. Let's see. Trek Mod's guess is Linda Blair. Apart from the main actors on the original series, I don't really know who played who. Just the original, just the main cast. Blair says, anyone seen the documentary on motion picture model? It's on YouTube. It's unreal, water damaged as well. Day before filming was a good... It was water damaged the day before filming? I'll have to check that out. Jet says, Linda Blair's mother in The Exorcist is played by Ellen Burstyn. However, Jane Wyatt, Amanda Grayson, isn't related to horror. Okay. All right. Just going to rinse and repeat on this side here. Get this shoved down in there. It does like to drift a little bit. Go. So I can get a piece to butt up right close to that airlock. All this masking just has to be kind of pieced together because of all the little curves and areas and stuff. So to get the airlock here, I'm going to have to do a piece going up from the bottom and then a piece along the side to lock it down. Because I don't want to block paint. I want to block paint from getting onto the airlock, but I don't want to block it from getting onto the panel that needs it right here. So that's probably about as good as that's going to get. And I need some small pieces to get these angled bits on both sides. Blair says, yes, it was. Roof leaked and damaged the film model. They had to scramble to repair, and I can't imagine what that did to the paint job. Derek says, anyone who hasn't seen the Ote Roddenberry archive short film, get on it. They are surpassing the uncanny valley. Ken says, how many episodes of The Twilight Zone was William Shatner in? 2? Blair says 2. Ken says, yes, 2. Can you name them? I just saw this on a video like 2 days ago. I know that one of them was the one where he's on the plane and he sees the monster on the wing, and I think that's the most famous one, and I don't know what the other one was. Roddenberry Archive is a must. Glad they did it. Trekmod says, I saw a short doc about the movie Shatner did right before Star Trek. All the dialogue was in Esperanto, and it was super weird. I have no idea what Esperanto is. No clue. All right. I need to seal up a few small sections here. I'll do that before I deal with those tiny corners. Who knows where Shatner was born? Let's see. With the fortune telling machine, is that the episode? Is that an episode? Nick of Time and Nightmare at 20,000 feet. Jet says, I saw Shatner in a movie back in the day called Go Ask Alice. Derek says Montreal, and Blair says Ottawa. Jet says Moose Jaw. And Danny says, wasn't he born in Overacting? So the answer is Montreal. He was born in Montreal. Yeah, I thought he was from Ottawa, but no, he's from Montreal. Il vient de Montréal. Mais je pense qu'il parle français. Mais je sais pas s'il parle français ou non. But he is from Montreal. I wonder how long it took him to learn to turn right on red. Because you're not allowed to turn right on red on the island of Montreal unless it's signed. Which I think is strange. But it's Quebec. They do weird things there. All right. Blair says his hairpiece was Ottawa. Maybe. Trek Mod says the movie is called Incubus. Never seen it. Never seen it. Oh, we're getting there. Let's see. Danny says, nowhere in Europe can you turn right on a red light. Really? Oh, wow. So just to clarify, nowhere in Europe where they drive on the right side of the road can you turn right on red. Very interesting. I mean, it makes sense that you can't turn right on red in the UK because you're driving on the left side of the road, and you would think that you'd be able to turn left on right in the UK, but very interesting. Nowhere, huh? Derek says, which hairpiece? And Devin says that would be the left turn equivalent for us. I'm pretty sure it's only the UK where it's where they drive on the left. I don't think the rest of Europe does. I think the rest of Europe is right side drive. Shatner was also in Kingdom of the Spiders. And Buck asks, Danny, when did they change that? Blair says, maybe that's why I got a couple tickets in mail in September. Ha! I'm an ambi turner, he says. An ambi turner. Ambidextrous turner. Danny says, I was so confused when I was in Vegas standing in front of a red traffic light for a right turn and a cop car honked on me for drive through red. Yeah. So somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the UK is the only place in Europe where it's where you drive on the left side of the road. I think the rest of Europe is drive on the right. Correct? Correct? Is that correct? Somebody? Anybody? Google? Oh, well. I'm sure somebody will tell me. I've got to say, it's a little bit, it takes a little bit getting used to if you are driving, if you have to drive on the opposite side of the road. When I was in South Africa, I did a little bit of driving while I was in South Africa. And South Africa, you drive on the left side of the road, on the right side of the vehicle. And I mean, I don't know if it's still true, but up to just a little while ago, anywhere outside of North America, you're driving stick shift. And until I got my Tesla, I drove exclusively stick shift vehicles. So that wasn't a problem for me, but it was a little disorienting driving on the opposite side of the road. And the thing that was the most disorienting was just remembering what lane you were turning into. Let's see. Entire UK, that's not just England. Yeah. Pretty sure the entire UK you're driving on the left side, right? I mean, yeah. Buck says Andrew, correct. Yep, and Japan. Yeah, Japan, Australia, I'm pretty sure, as well as South Africa. Yeah, also Scotland, Ireland. Yeah, grouped all of that into the UK. Yeah, those are countries. Yeah, I'm aware. The UK is made up of multiple countries. He says you bunch of Americans. So Danny. So it is the entire UK where they drive on the left side, right? Not just England, right? Because that would get confusing if you drove into Scotland from England and had to swap sides. Buck says, during the 16 years I was stationed in Germany, right on red was allowed after a full stop. Well, right on red always has to, here, at least in Canada, it always has to be after a full stop. You can't roll through a red light on a right-hand turn. Danny says, yes, the entire UK. Yeah. If that's not what I said, that's what I meant to say, and that's what I thought I said. Danny says, I just did a road trip last summer through the UK. Did you rent a vehicle, and was it a stick shift? Is it still primary? I can't talk. Is it still primarily stick shift for gas powered vehicles over there? If I wasn't driving an electric vehicle, I would still be driving stick shift. I do not like automatic ICE vehicles. Which I've got to say, I wasn't sure how I would adapt to driving the Tesla, going straight from 6-speed manual transmission to the Tesla, but I actually really love the one pedal drive, because we don't, unless I need to come to a stop fast, I don't use the brake, because as soon as you take your foot off the accelerator pedal, it starts to slow down and stop, and it'll come right to a complete stop without ever touching the brake. And so I really like that. Now, my cup holder has my glasses case, because I cannot drive with the sun without sunglasses. My eyes are super, maybe I'm from the mirror universe or something, but my eyes are super sensitive to sunlight, and I cannot drive in the sun without sunglasses. In fact, I have I sneeze when I get bright light in my eyes. So whatever that's called, I can't remember what it's called, but so I always have my glasses. So I take these ones off. I put my sunglasses on. They're prescription sunglasses, and my case goes in my cup holder. And I always find myself driving with my hand on my glasses case as if it is a stick shift in my Tesla. It's weird. It's just the things that it's been almost 2 years now with the Tesla, and things just carry over, right? So my hand still goes for the gear shift. It took a while to stop going for the clutch. It took a while to stop going for the clutch, but no, what the Tesla gives outweighs what I lost losing a stick shift. So I don't mind it, but I hate driving ICE vehicles that are automatic. Let's see. Devin says, after stop in Washington State, some states don't allow it. No, Danny says, no, we took our own. Cool. That's got to be weird, driving on the left-hand side of the road and not being in the center, being at the center of the lane. If what I said just makes sense. Buck says Cyprus, they also drive on the left, at least south of the green line, and north of the line, it was drive on the right. Danny says ferry crossover. Yeah. Stick shift. Yes. And Danny says, so yes, I drove right-handed vehicle in a left side driving country. Yeah. That's got to be a little confusing. I didn't driving the driving the big van on the right hand with the steering wheel on the right hand side when I was in South Africa, that didn't bother me. Again, it was just remembering when I was making turns, remembering that I turned into the near lane turning left and the far lane turning right, because that's the opposite, right? So that was just the thing that I was having to make conscious efforts about, because driving where you always drive, it's just intuitive and makes sense, right? Because you do it all the time. But Danny says you get used to it very quickly, like 1 hour of driving and you're fine. Yeah. It's just I just found it just having to think through that. Ken says, how many episodes of Columbo was Shatner in? No clue. No clue. All right. Get at least one more piece of tape down here before I have to end the stream tonight. See if we can get that airlock taken care of on this side. I'm going to have to do a little bit of touch up. You can't see it from where the camera is, but there is a slight paint chip on the edge of the airlock. So I will have to touch that up with a tiny bit of base coat. So if you ever, just a note, if you ever wonder why model builders charge the building fees that they charge, here's why. Because a lot of it takes a lot of time in doing the fiddly work that just has to be done. If the builder is going through the effort of doing it properly. Of course, there's shortcuts, things that personally I don't think look as good, but there are faster ways of doing things. But I like the results of doing it the long way. Just gonna grab some yellow tape. That's way too thick. Oh, I almost started whistling Blue's Clues. A couple of notes actually came out that time. Music from the Blue's Clues movie seems to be my son's go-to right now in the car if he doesn't have a tablet with him. He wants Blue's Clues movie music. So I'm constantly exposed to it these days right now. My daughter, when she was younger, it was all Wiggles. It was all toot toot chugga chugga hot potato, do the twist, all that kind of stuff. All right. That's a bunch of masking done. And that's where we're going to have to leave it tonight, because Sunday morning comes early. put that over there. Let's swap back to this view as I say goodnight to everybody. Let me just make sure that I caught up on the chat. Ken says 2 episodes, Fade into Murder and The Butterfly in Shades of Grey. Okay. And Buck says the panels on the Eiffel Tower are interesting to do. I will take your word for that, Buck. I can see I can see how doing part works would be fun and interesting. But I would worry about getting into it and getting addicted to it and spending too much money on it. So I think that I am going to continue to steer clear of the part work side of things. But yeah, so thank you everyone for joining me on the stream tonight. Hopefully, no promises, but hopefully by stream next Saturday, you'll actually see that the metal piece is permanently installed in that pylon. My goal is to get my goal is to get that piece in place and to get the pylons attached to the lower secondary hull part. That's my goal, because then I need to start getting the wiring up into the pylons, into the nacelles for the lighting, and I've got to sort through the data chain that's going to go through the whole ship, kind of a deal. So hopefully at least by live stream next week, you will see that the metal piece, wherever that ended up going, it's behind me right there, sitting on the pylons right now. Hopefully that'll be embedded permanently, and I'll be able to show that off. So thank you everyone for joining me. If you are new to my channel or you haven't done so yet, hit that subscribe button today. You'll make me very happy if you do. We are currently at 2,513 subscribers on the subscriber counter. That is awesome. It's always fun to see to go into the YouTube app and see that bump up periodically. So always very cool. So thank you everybody for joining me. I will be back same time, same station, same channel next week, 9 p.m. Eastern. All right. Have a great night, everybody. And yeah, we'll see you again next week.